In this video, I'm going to show you how to measure reflex angles. I've got an angle drawn here called angle ABC, but right now I haven't drawn an arc in my angle. So I don't know if I'm wanting to measure this part, this inside part of the angle, or if I want to measure the outside part over here. And this outside part that I've drawn in green is called a reflex angle. It is greater than 180 degrees, but less than 360 degrees. And you'll notice that the green and the blue combine to form a complete circle, so 360 degrees altogether. So there's a couple of ways that you can measure this angle, and one way is to use something called a full circle protractor. A full circle protractor looks just like the protractor I have here, except it would be two semicircles together. It would be a complete circle, and it would go all the way from 0 degrees to 360 degrees. Most people don't have a full circle protractor handy, so if we're using a half circle protractor like what I have, I'm going to show you how we can still find the measure of the green reflex angle. So to do that, I know that my two angles combined equal 360 degrees, so I know that if I take away the blue angle from 360 degrees, I'm left with my green reflex angle. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure that blue acute angle. As always, when I'm measuring an angle, I'm going to want to extend each of the rays using a straight edge to make sure that my rays hit my protractor. Please make sure that you use a straight edge. Don't freehand draw that, because you'll end up having your accuracy be way off if you try to freehand draw it. So now I'm ready to bring in my protractor. Remember that when you're using your protractor, you want to line up your center point with your vertex, in this case point B, and we want to make sure that we line up one of the sides of your angle with the 0 degree line on your protractor, and make sure that the other side is pointing at your protractor. If it's not, continue rotating until it is. So in this case, I'm measuring angle ABC, but I'm measuring the blue acute angle, and this is my 0 degree line right here. So I'm counting up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and it looks like it's right in between 50 and 60. It looks like it's almost exactly at 55 degrees. So my acute angle is 55 degrees, but what I'm really wanting to do is find out the measure of my reflex angle. Now I know that there are 360 degrees in a circle, and if I were to take away the 55 degree acute angle, I should be left with my green reflex angle. And when I do that subtraction, I end up with a reflex angle of 305 degrees. So let's look at another example, and I have angle DEF drawn here, and I have an obtuse angle on the inside of it, and then the reflex of that is this green angle on the outside. Those two angles combine to form a full circle that has a measure of 360 degrees. So when I'm ready to measure my angle, of course, the first thing I want to do is extend the sides of my angle, and I'm going to do that with my straight edge. So there's one side, and there's my other side. All right, so I'm ready to move in my protractor, and as always, when I move in my protractor, I want to put the center point on my vertex E, line up one of the sides of my angle with the 0 degree line as best as I can. Rotate that just a little bit more. There we go. And in this case, I'm trying to measure my blue obtuse angle. So my 0 degree line is right here. I'm going to count up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. It's between 110 and 120. Here is 115, so it looks like it's 116, 117 degrees. So knowing that there are 360 degrees in a circle, if I take away that 117 degree angle, I should be left with my reflex angle of 243 degrees. Let's look at one more example of reflex angles. So I've drawn here angle GHI, and it appears that we have an acute angle right here on the inside, just a little bit less than 90 degrees, and the reflex of that is this green angle again on the outside, and these two angles combine to form a full circle that has a measure of 360 degrees. I'm going to measure the inside angle, the blue angle first. Let me extend my rays. And then I'll move in my protractor. Again, making sure to line up the center point with my vertex and making sure that I have one of my sides on 0 degrees. So this is my 0 degree line right here. So I'm going to make sure that I count up from there. So here is, let me point out it, here is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And it looks like this right here is 75. So it looks like we're about 1 degree more than that, maybe 76 degrees. So if I take my full circle, 360 degrees, get rid of my blue angle that I'm really not interested in, do some regrouping here, and I'll end up with a reflex angle of 284 degrees.